Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me well? Okay, thank you. So first of all, I think I have a tough slot because I think I'm kind of unique among all these speakers because I flew, 10,000 miles to give you a 10-minute talk. So it's kind of unfair. But I'll do my best. The second thing is I'm given an afternoon slot right after lunch. So I better say something that will wake you up. So GhangorCloud, first of all, the name is kind of unique. Gangor, everybody knows. I think we're in a perfect setting for a GhangorCloud, right? So we have outside the monsoon going on. But it's not about rains. It's about the bounty that this cloud will give in terms of the security. This is a security offering. It's a data security offering. And hopefully what I say today will alert a lot of you and awake a lot of you to what's going on. As India moves towards getting more and more digital and e-governance centric, it's very important that data security is given a significant amount of importance. Otherwise, you're essentially connecting everything to lose everything. It's so easy. You look at what's happening between the US and China right now. The crux of the trade war is based on only one thing, which is the stealing of intellectual property by China. Think about it. A country like the United States cannot protect its own intellectual property. It has come to that. And it is a completely connected country, so it's very easy to take information out. So what we'll do in the short presentation, I'll try to make it as interactive as possible. We'll first look at the data leaks in today's world, right? We have so much of security investments going on. Almost every company you go to, there's a lot of security infrastructure already in place. So why are we having all these leaks today? So let's take a look at some of the crucial leaks. Capital One happened just last week. So 110 million records taken out. These guys spend about $10 to $15 million annually on security products. Can you imagine the result? Now let's look at Equifax, another major corporation. They lost 143 million records. Facebook, right? Almost like 2 billion people use Facebook. 540 million records. And Facebook is one of the top technology companies in the world. If they cannot protect themselves, we are all screwed. Anthem, big healthcare company, 80 million records. And then finally, you look at 885 million records. This is not a joke. A lot of you must be thinking, this is United States, right? In India, we are good. Well, not so fast. Data records stolen or lost since 2013 in India. And I made sure I put the commas in the right place. It's 160 crores, right? Or more. Frequency of lost or stolen records in India. Take a look at that. Every day, 7 lakh records getting stolen. Every second, as I'm talking, we are losing data. This is reality. Okay? This is really what's going on. And imagine, we are only, 10% connected, 20% connected? Imagine what will happen when we are 50% connected. These numbers will look astronomical. Okay? Look at what happened at State Bank of India, right? Look at what happened at the Aadhaar, UID. All the numbers were taken out. This is massive infrastructure spending, and despite that, that was the result. So let's first look at the anatomy of a data breach. How does a data breach happen? So what I did was I picked one of the biggest leaks that have happened recently in the last couple of years and basically tried to showcase to you exactly how do these leaks happen so that you get an idea. So this is a case of a malicious outsider, somebody sitting outside. And this is very important because nowadays, artificial intelligence is used mostly by the attackers than the defenders. That's the unfortunate part, right? So now they're doing a recon. So basically, if they want to enter this building, let's say to Crown Plaza, right? Somebody is basically doing a recon outside. How many gates are there? Where are the entry points? Where are the guards? How do I get in? That's what you call a recon, right? Similarly, they do a recon for big companies as well. Where are the entry points? How do I get into this place? So there are multiple ways of getting into a corporation, into an enterprise. You can do a phishing attack. You can do a remote desktop. It could be as easy as somebody walking in, like a contractor. You have a lot of contractors, outsourcing, et cetera, et cetera. These people walk in with their laptops. They connect the laptop. Thanks to Wi-Fi, they don't even need to enter the building, right? So guess what? Now they're inside the network. Now, if you see that, The red arrow shows that this was an exploit coming in through a contractor. And then once the malware is inside the network, it is now scanning the network to see where the confidential data is. Where are your financial records? Where's the consumer's credit card data? Where is your business data, etc. Now that it does that, it is basically, that's your critical assets, right? Okay, so the thing that's happening here is this is an internal access issue. Once the malware is inside, it is basically stealing a bunch of data, but it is collecting that data internally onto a server or something like that it has compromised. And once it has done that, now the next step will be to take it out. This is what you call data exfiltration. When we have an intruder come inside this room, it's called infiltration. And when the same intruder is taking data out, that's called exfiltration. I want you guys to get used to this term really well. A leak is very different from exfiltration. Data leak prevention has been around for 20 years. You saw the results, right? Will not work. Exfiltration is what is happening here. And when that exfiltration was happening, guess what? There was a DLP system in place. It had no idea. It had no clue. So the data is taken out. So this is a case of a malicious outsider. Now what happens if there is somebody already inside, an employee? This is a case of a malicious insider. I'm already an employee, right? I'm working for the organization. I come in every day. Now, because I'm an insider, I have access to a lot of information. And now I can figure out how to take data out. This is even more dangerous because I don't need to figure out how to access. I'm already inside. So once I'm inside, I'm trying to start with accessing the HR database and saying who's where, right? And who can I leverage? From there, I'm basically collecting the data. Again, look at the red arrow. It's basically showing you that the internal access violations happen before data gets transferred out. So it's very, very important. And now the exfiltration happens. Okay? Invariably, it's a two-step process. Step one, there is an internal access control violation happening. Somebody's accessing the data and transferring the data. And second, they're taking it out. Okay? Hopefully, this is very clear because a vast majority of leaks happen this way. Okay, so let's move on to the next step, which is basically I'll show you what happens typically in an industry. We talk about the utopian world, right? We spend a lot of time, we spend a lot of money on security infrastructure, and typically the security infrastructures look like this. You have a next generation firewall, you got an APT device, you have antivirus, you have IPS, IDS, all that stuff. This is what you call a traditional security infrastructure. Now what happens is, in this kind of an infrastructure, if you have a malware coming in from the outside, and I showed you the anatomy of the attacks of how the malware is coming in, most of the solutions, now you're dependent on the firewall and the advanced persistent threat devices to block the malware. In reality, they only stop about 27% of all malware attacks, which means, you see the dotted red lines going to the right? That means you get a vast majority of malware is coming inside your network. Almost every network has malware inside. It's a given. So there's no concept of a perimeter anymore. Malware is inside, right? So the perimeter has been dissolved. So now that the malware is inside, what are the two objectives for a malware? Either it's going to destroy your infrastructure, like what the Israelis did to the Iranians. They destroyed their centrifuges, if you remember. Or it's going to take out your confidential data, like I showed you the example before, right? So when it is taking out the data, there's only one product that can potentially stop it, which is the DLP product right there, right? And if that product cannot stop it, bad news. You have lost a lot of information. Okay, so let's take a different look in terms of data leaks, right? Now that we understand DLP is so crucial, I'm using the iceberg. Everybody has seen the Titanic, so they know how an iceberg looks like. The tip of the iceberg is insiders accidentally leaking information, right? But that's only 20% of the problem. 80% of the problem is below. You got insiders who are intentionally trying to take information out, right? Then you have compromised identity. The malware is on your laptop. It understands your keystrokes. Now it's getting into your email. It's acting as you, and it is sending out data. How would you discover that? Very difficult. That's what you call compromised leakage. And then finally, as a bot, it is basically taking out information like I showed you in the anatomy of the breach. So if you look at the solutions that are available in the market today, typically what we call your traditional DLP solutions, I have to take out the names here, but these have been around from 2002 timeframe, okay? And you have your entire bottom half completely exposed. This is the reality, folks. If you have to remember one slide, this is it. This is reality. This is exactly why the leaks happen in today's world. It's because the bottom half, 80%, you don't get coverage. What GhangorCloud is doing is essentially creating a solution that will cover all these 4 use cases, okay? And let's look into that. We're talking about the dawn of a new era, kind of pompous, but hey, I got 10 minutes, I got to use something. So there are 4 things that you got to do. The solution has to do. The 4 things, and I want you to remember, you don't have to remember. Number 4 is just the most important thing. First and foremost is to basically ensure that you got the malware exfiltration taken care of. Remember I showed you the examples of how the malware is coming and taking it out? Very important that you take care of that. The second one is essentially to insider threats. And someone was asking me yesterday, how about this insider threats? Remember we talked about most of the insiders, if they're malicious, how this is so dangerous. So this is really, the second step is to basically take care of this. The third step is to basically give you what you call real-time visibility. You want protection in real time. You don't want bad stuff to be shown you after the fact. There's no point in that. You already lost all the data. What's the point in telling you lost the data, right? You got to stop it in real time and give you visibility in real time. And this is really the challenge, okay? So it has to be a real-time thing happening automatically. And finally, it has to be simple, fast, and easy. Most of you must have deployed some DLP solutions, and you will realize that these are very complex beasts. They take a long time, a lot of resources, a lot of money, of course. It's good for the vendors, right? But they're not effective. I already showed you that. What you want in this new solution is it should be simple, fast, and easy. Yes, we are using artificial intelligence, but for what? To ensure that they can be deployed really quickly, easily, and be very effective, okay? So putting all these things together is really what Ghangore's solution is about. I'll skip through these slides real quick in terms of what we do. We are finding sensitive data automatically. If you're transferring confidential data, we will figure out it's confidential or not. If it's financial data, if it's healthcare data, whatever that is, we will figure it out. The second innovation is really in terms of access control, and I told you how important this is because most of the violations happen internally before data gets transferred outside. So it's very important that you need to have access control in place. The third innovation is really on the policies. In our system, you don't write a single policy. When you look at traditional DLP systems, you spend months, and I'm not kidding you spend months in putting these policies together. In our system, you don't write a single policy. Click of a button, it generates policies automatically. It is taking your business logic and creating these policies, okay? And then finally, we talked about visibility, and you need to have really a 360-degree visibility in terms of what is happening inside your network, right? Where the violations are happening, I want everything to be shown in real time. That's what we call a real-time CyberSOC dashboard. All right, so this is a bunch of wheels, but the important thing is they're all meshed together really well. They're gelled together really well. All those engines that we talked about, they're really in this nice gear train, well-oiled gear train moving together. That's all in one product. They're not multiple products, okay? So now what happens is you put all of these things together, right? And we have this thing called the Information Security Enforcer. We thought it was so cool, we called it ICE, okay? It's a bad joke. So we got a bunch of awards we've been recognized ever since we came out of stealth mode about a year and a half ago. And that gives you validity that it's just not me coming and talking about myself, but we have some third-party validation as well. Now, what this information security enforcer does, now this is the other good thing. These are all independent products you'll have to buy. If you think about it, data classification, CASB, DLP, access control, they're all separate products. Guess what? You don't have to buy separate products. They're all enabled from the same platform. So it's like one platform enabling multiple solutions here. Okay, so that's why I put it out there so that it'll save you a lot of money. It's enabling multiple solutions for you. All right, in terms of customer use cases, people ask me all this time. Everybody talks about feature functionality, right? And every vendor claims that they have more features, right? I did not want to do that. I didn't show you any features. I basically am showing you use cases. When customers come to you and say, hey, I have this kind of a problem. How does your product work? So these are the problems that the customers face, right? And we are basically telling you exactly who's doing what. Now, this is a kind of an unfair comparison because Symantec, McAfee, et cetera, products, they were all developed in 2002. We are in 2019, right? You have all the bad guys using AI. And these products are all manually configurable. It's like taking a knife to a gunfight. Bad things happen, right? Invariably, you're going to lose. So that is why it is very important that I put this thing up there so that you can see and understand exactly what's going on. Okay? So moving on. In terms of deployment, and I got some questions about that. People said, you have cloud in the name. So is this in the cloud? Not really. Cloud is there because we are kind of futuristic. We are looking ahead. But if you have all your applications on-prem, you can deploy this on-prem. And we'll put it in the network, and we'll put it on your endpoints. So this thing covers you if you have only applications on-prem. Let's say you have applications in the public cloud, right? It could be AWS, it could be Azure, it could be Megraj, it could be MITI. It doesn't really matter, right? We will put our solution up there. Now it will protect your cloud apps as well. What happens if you want a cloud service? We will provide a cloud service for you, but in this case, this will be a private cloud service, okay? So this will be hosted in India. So your data is not going to go out to AWS or to Azure. It's going to be in India, right, in the data center. And we'll create a private cloud service for you. All right, moving on. That's my 5-minute warning. 2-minute warning. Man, you're killing me. So, okay, so this is the dashboard, right? This is how a dashboard looks like for the real product. So let's look at some of these things to show you exactly what it shows for you. So this is basically showing, it's covering all your protocols, and it is telling you where the violations are. For HTTP, HTTPS, that means for web traffic, there were about 936 violations. For email, there are about 1,500 violations, okay? Look at a different one. This shows you every time there's a violation, you see a spike, okay? Since we don't have much time, and this will give you severity of incidents based on if they're critical incidents or severe, major, minor, etc. Okay? This basically shows you classification of the information itself. It's automatically classifying the information. Then it will show you who is leaking it, right? These are, and it'll show you the name of the person. If this is malware, it will tell you malware residing on which server and how many incidents per each user. Okay? And then finally, it'll also tell you about cloud. What kind of cloud applications are you using to transfer data, and where are the violations happening, etc. Okay? So it gives you a good idea in terms of the Information Security Enforcer product. Basically, remember, if you're buying a DLP, don't waste your money. You need a DLEP product, E standing for exfiltration, because exfiltration means malicious. Leaks means it's fairly benign. It's an accidental leak. Okay? So I think I'm pretty much on the dot. You'll be happy? All right, so thank you very much for your time. Hopefully I woke some of you up, okay? And again, I appreciate the time.